Hey, it's Kara, your host. I'm here today because I'm often asked, what should I read next? Or what is your all time favorite book? And that is why I created this list. This list isn't a declaration of the greatest books of all time. Rather, it's a collection of the stories I can't stop thinking about, the ones I've recommended more times than I can count, and that continue to live rent-free in my head. Whether you're looking for your next unforgettable read, or just want to see what books have shaped my reading life, I hope this guide of 25 books inspires you to discover a new favorite. Head on over to the link in the show notes or to bookishflights.com/read/25 books. Hi, I'm Kara Infante, and this is Bookish Flights. In each episode, I chat with one bookish guest as we take some time to sample and savor the pairing recommendations from their bookish flight. We hope to give you suggestions to cultivate your TBR list and nurture your leisure time through books. In today's episode, I am chatting with Carmela Dutra. Hailing from the Bay Area of California, Carmela cherishes her family, rainy days, and making others laugh. After years of working on her award-winning indie children's picture books, she transitioned into crafting cozy mysteries filled with emotion, humor, and heart. When she's not penning her latest tale, Carmela enjoys sketching, sipping copious amounts of coffee, and over-cuddling her allergy-inducing cats and dog. She shares her life with her best friend and husband, raising two dinosaur-obsessed sons. A lover of alternative rock, Carmela often writes to its rhythm and finds comfort in rewatching The Big Bang Theory and MASH. Welcome to the show, Carmela.
Thank you so much, Kara, for having me here. I'm so excited this morning, and I'm enjoying one of my cups of coffee that I'll be having throughout the day. And one of your mugs, by the way, too. So thank you.
You are welcome. Listeners, I make sure you'll tune into the video clip of this because she's also wearing her chicken suit, which we will talk about here shortly.
I am. What started off as a joke between Kara and I'm like, yeah, no, here I am. I'm in a chicken suit with the little red comb and all. And I got
Yeah.
a little baby chick in my pocket.
Yes. And, as your bio says, you love bringing humor and funny into the situation. And I'm like, we've never met in real life, but in our interactions, I just see that radiating from you.
Yeah, it's that was actually something that kind of helped get me there, steer me toward cozy mysteries was, and we'll get into that in a little bit too, but a couple of agents with the very first adult novel that I queried said there was too much humor and you might want to try going in this direction instead. And one of those suggestions was cozy mystery with humor. So here I am.
Yeah, I love that. And I think sometimes I think with humor, I think about this and I'm like, I don't always find myself funny. Like my husband is a really good storyteller and he's really funny. Like he can just deliver it right. And this could be man versus woman. Like I feel like I have to insert every detail into the story, which just dilutes like the funniness of the story.
I do that. I give way too much background information. I do.
I know. My husband's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, fine, you just tell the story. Like I'll like defer to him. But I also feel like I'm funny, but like in a quirky way. And I feel like you just radiate that as well. Like your humor
It's
is
the
there.
quirk. It definitely is. I think that's just why we get each other.
Yeah.
And quirky funny is definitely different than forced comedy too. Because you can also always tell when somebody's really trying to force it, whether that be in your daily conversation with somebody or that's in TV shows. When you see stand up, you can tell when it's forced. Also when you read it. So that's yay. So thank you for catching on to the quirky side of me. That's awesome. That's a big compliment.
Yeah, yeah. And I totally agree. The delivery makes all the difference, right? Like this authentic versus you said, like the forced is very different. Well, I feel like you are so much more than this bio. So why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Well, I mean, it really did sum it up pretty well. I spent a lot of time agonizing over that really short bio, trying to like cram everything
Yeah.
in there. But I mean, it does hit it on the nail. Dinosaurs with my sons, it's what we live by. I mean, you can school me in dino trivia. They do it all the time. They randomly come up, Mom, what was the smallest carnivore in the Triassic period? Compsognathus. So there's a few that I have memorized, but they are switching it up on me because especially as my 9-year-old is getting older. Yeah, so I am here from the Bay Area. I'm in San Jose. If you're familiar with the Bay Area, that's about 40 minutes south of San Francisco. And I started off with children's picture books. I loved it. It was great. I worked in school districts. I went in and I handled author visits, teaching children from start to finish, like storyboarding, character development, and just how to take like simple ideas of this is a cloud and how to stretch those sentences to make stories. So
Yeah.
much fun. And then pandemic happened and everything shut down. So I that was my job. That was my full-time job where I was just going from school district to school district throughout the Bay Area working, and it was a lot of fun. But then I had some time to fill, and I think that's kind of what happened with a lot of writers, that stretch of everything under lockdown. This was the time to explore other areas and see how it's going to work out. And I figured, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's not going to go anywhere. But so I did it, and I wrote a sci-fi novel, which was horrible. I don't know why I did sci-fi, but I did. I did. I wrote a really bad sci-fi novel about octopuses, telepathic octopuses. And I queried it, and I queried it. I did. And I got a handful of full requests back from agents. I really think that was my query letter more than my actual manuscript. Every one of them came back with the same responses. There was the premise was there, the pacing was off, there was too much mystery that was already being woven into the story. I had a couple ask me like, there's mystery in here, but this is sci-fi. I can't work with that. And they all came also back with there's too much comedy. And that was where I got some suggestions from feedback of I think your voice lends itself to like romantic comedies or cozy mysteries. And since I was already having the mystery kind of woven into
Yeah.
those telepathic octopuses, it was like, okay, maybe I should just look at that, which I don't know why I never even consider that because 80% of my library is all mystery anyway. That's what I devour, are mystery books. So why I went off in a different direction, I don't know, but it gave me I guess how to put it, the license to say like I can do this. I'm not just stuck in this one genre, which I loved picture books, but I always knew I wanted to do more than that. And it gave me the creative freedom to be like, okay, you can go out of your bounds. You can do this. It's okay to try something new. And once I got that out of my system, everything became easier.
Yeah. Wow. That is quite the journey. And I don't think I knew about you that you had started with picture books. So I learned something new about you today too.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I did. I wrote and illustrated 5 picture books. So first was about a series of Learns of the Bear, about a bunch of animals and seeing the good in others and friendship. But the one that I used in schools, which allowed me to quit my job as a wedding photographer, was Little Katie. So Little Katie goes to the moon and Little Katie explores the coral reef. It was an educational STEM series for kids. Think them like a modern day twist on the Magic School Bus, only
Oh
it's a
yeah.
little girl with her puppy.
Okay.
So it's you go through this whole journey where you're learning facts about the moon, you go into outer space, you do all this stuff, but she never leaves her backyard. Just like with the Magic School Bus, you're
Yeah.
shrinking down and you're traveling everywhere. That's what the series was. And a lot of school districts here in the Bay Area are STEM and STEAM based, so it worked perfectly. And I even
Awesome.
collaborated with some teachers with their students that helped me bring some of the stories to life too.
Yeah. How, for maybe there's listeners that are authors themselves, how did you start even getting connected with the schools? Did you like kind of pitch them or how does that process work?
That started originally with my very first publisher. So
Okay.
there was a very small independent publisher out in Sacramento who's no longer in business that I was working with. And he had suggested, why don't you try and go into school districts with some of your books? I bet they would really like it. So I just sent out cold emails. I did a lot of research,
Yeah.
how like what those schools were focused on, what
Focused.
they
Yeah.
were trying to achieve. Did a lot of research, and then I just emailed the district office and I emailed the principals to see if they would be open to having an author event. So at first they started off where it was free events. I would come in and just host a free event, and then I would have order sheets. So if children wanted to purchase books, and then I also did a give back program. So $1 from each sale went back to the school
Oh,
library to
wow.
help
That's
fund
awesome.
picture books. So that worked really well. The schools appreciated that I was giving something back to them and also taking the time to work with their students. And then I had a friend that I didn't know what she did at her school district. I didn't even realize she was at a school district at the time. but I was still doing wedding photography. And I was doing a photo shoot for two of her sons. She was mentioning how she needed to bring in a vendor for an event because somebody dropped out. And that was my husband who's like over here in my ear. He's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Carmela can do this. Carmela does this already with the school districts." And she's like, "Wait, what?" So that was like my door into how that became my job. Because
Yeah.
then from there, started working regularly with school districts where they would contact me and hire me to come in for weeks at a time and do different events that specifically were tailored to each classroom for the needs of the students, for the needs of the class.
Wow.
So
That
it
is
took a
so
while.
cool. Yeah, but how the evolution.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
definitely was a buildup of, me cold calling and then eventually them reaching out to me. And
Yeah.
we still tried throughout the pandemic too. I still did online visits with these same school districts that I worked with. But after pandemic and schools started opening back up, funding changed for the schools too. And so the funding that was earmarked for events like me was no longer available. So that was how it kind of things kind of changed and shifted. And so now I'm in Cozy Mysteries.
Yeah. Well, let's tell the listeners because they're probably dying to know. Let's tell them about the murder or a murder most foul.
So Murder Most Foul is my debut cozy mystery. It's coming out on September 9th from Crooked Lane Books, and it's set right here in the Bay Area, where I'm from. So here, if you're from the Bay Area, or if you've ever been here, and there's other pockets too throughout the US, but food truck culture is huge here. You can't go anywhere without seeing a food truck. Southern California, LA, that area, also huge. I'm sure being from
Yeah.
that area, you're very familiar with food trucks. So that was something that I wanted to have kind of like a unique setting, something that I could also kind of take wherever I went. So that was where the food truck inspiration came in, was from the Bay Area. And it's about a set of twins who inherit their food truck from their late aunt. And it's Beth and Seth are the main protagonists. And Beth enters their truck clucking good in a food truck competition. So think Only Murders in the Building meets the Great Food Truck Race. That's what this book
I
is.
love it.
So they enter into a high stakes cooking competition, only the competition takes a literal turn on the elimination round and a contestant is found dead. So one of the twins, Beth, is a prime suspect because she was the last one having been seen in a public fight with the victim. So now it's trying to sleuth her way through the crumbs before one of them ends up on the chopping block next. So the inspiration behind the twins is my grandma was a twin.
Okay.
And my grandma and her identical twin sister, they always it's so funny. Their stories and the things that they would always get upset about were the most ridiculous things. I remember a fight literally over apples and oranges and things like that of like which shelf in the refrigerator keeps cans the coldest. Um, and I had been on the phone with my grandma and she was complaining about something. They loved each other. Oh my goodness. Her and her twin sister loved each other, but
Yeah.
like siblings, constantly were bickering. And that did not change as they entered into their golden years.
Yeah.
Um, and so I don't even remember what her phone call was about that day, but I remember hanging up and I was telling my husband about it, like why my grandma had called. And he was laughing at the end of it. And he's like, "You should write a book about that." And I said, "Yeah, but if I did, they would kill each other." And then that's where it all kind of came together. So, and it's chickens because I was at a chicken themed restaurant when I got the phone call and I was eating chicken wings. So that's how it all just kind of came together.
Oh, I love that so much. And I just finished the book last week. And so it was awesome. It was so much fun. Like just
Well,
one of
thank you.
those like perfect I sometimes, I mean, cozy mystery, right? I'm thinking listeners like they lend yourself to being cozy, right? You hear murder and it, but it's not like gruesome, gory, like it's not, I know it's not going to keep you up at night of suspense, but it's a page turner, right? There's enough suspense. You're like, I want to know what's going to happen, but not the like scary keep you up at night. So cozy mystery, definitely 100% would recommend it. I loved the recipes in there too. I'm like, oh, I have to try to make these. My husband loves chicken wings. So
Ooh, awesome. Thank you. So each book does come with recipes, and each book will have a different chicken wing recipe. There's also sliders in the books too, so I'm thinking of maybe adding a couple of those, but those are recipes that I use.
okay. I
So
was wondering that, like if you're a
if
cook
you're
yourself.
yeah. So if you're ever I mean my kids don't like chicken wings, but my husband does. My husband
Yeah.
and I do. Of course, picky kids, right? But yeah, if you ever want other recipes too, I've got extra recipes that I am always looking for testers. But also too, anybody who's listening, if they want that little like inside stuff, that's also something that comes with my newsletters when you
Okay.
sign up. That's a free thing. You get like a whole free cozy mystery sleuthing packet that you can use when you're doing your own cozy reading, mystery tracker, and recipes as well.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, we'll include links to your website in the show as well, or in the show notes. So we'll have that there for you. What have you learned about yourself? And let's make this just about like through writing cozy mysteries.
Had to learn how to plot. So, and I don't know why I decided to originally pants it because when I did my children's books, I always had some sort of like outline, a structure, storyboarding, doing it, but I didn't do that with this one. And I just wrote it by the seat of my pants. And when I was doing it, I was like, okay, well, I didn't know who the killer was at first. I'm like, but it's a mystery. Anybody can be the killer. Like, I'm gonna figure it out as I go along.
We played
And that
Clue
could,
as kids. Anybody can be the murderer.
yeah, I watch Diagnosis Murder all the time. I could totally do this. Um, And I think that can work really well for some authors. I know several authors who are more on the Panstein side or a little bit of a combination of both. And it ended up being when I signed with my literary agent, Lindsay Guzzardo of Martin Literary Management. She helped me to see the importance of plotting and how that can help me because I did have a lot of loose threads that I still had to tie up. There was definitely some restructure that needed to happen with the manuscript. We spent about close to a year going like through the whole thing. My bones were there, but there was a lot that needed to be tied up
Yeah.
and fixed and reworked. So throughout that time, she was so patient. Even before she signed me as her client, she taught me how to plot, gave me articles to review, books to read. And that taught me so much. And it did make it more enjoyable for me because as I've gone on and I've continued to write more within this series and my new series that I'm starting, it moves so much quicker for me because I have a
Yeah.
much clearer outline of where I'm going. And I still have enough room in there where I can let that creative imagination take over, but I know to hit these plot points as I'm going, make sure that I'm hitting everything from A through Z that's going to be wrapped up in a perfect little, hopefully, ideally perfect little bow at the end of the book.
Yeah. That makes sense. I feel like that's, I mean, as you heard me say in my little spiel before we started the podcast, it's like I have the bones there, right? I know what the main points I'm trying to hit, but everything else, I mean, not that I'm doing creative expression on here, but it's conversation based, right? Like we can take it wherever we want and then just trying to hit those wickets, throughout it. So I love that. And I admire you all so much that you spend so much, like you said, a year reworking this. Like to me, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I write something and I'm done with it. I don't want ever want to see it again.
That's my son. So my 9-year-old, he's been learning creative writing and I've been helping him with that. And he's like, I don't want to edit this. It's fine. And I'm like, no, it's not fine. We need to go back through and we need to fix this. And
Yeah.
he's like, it's good. They can figure out, like he's even said like, oh, they can fill in the blanks. I'm like, honey, I thought that too. You can't just fill in the blanks. You have to spell everything out, but you also have to do it in a way that doesn't sound like you're spelling it out. And he's like, this is too much work.
I
And I'm like, I feel you, kid. I feel you.
Yes. So I know obviously this is going to be a series. At this point, do you know how many books will be in the series? Or it's kind of open-ended at this point?
It is open-ended. My agent and I have been talking about it. So right now I do have a rough plan and the bones of the next 5 to 6 books in the series.
Wow.
So book
Okay.
2 has already been turned in to my
Wow.
editor at Crooked
Okay.
Lane. So we're going through that. My agent and I have already worked on book 3 and book 4, which with her feedback and her guidance there, I ended up flopping them because originally the book four now was originally book 3. And so
Okay.
she helped me see it from a different perspective. So those are other ways that we collaborate too of this is the direction that I'm thinking of going. But my agent also used to be a senior editor, so she's also able to see it from both sides
That's great.
and help me there. So she's been able to help guide me. Okay, I think this is great and we can go this direction, but we need to stretch it out a little bit further. And my agent absolutely is in love with Beth. She loves the whole series, so I think she's even my biggest champion, my bigger than me because at times I'm like, okay, I'm so done with this. She's like, no, it's great, keep going. Um, but right now I have at least another, yeah,
Wow.
5, 6-ish ideas, and we're just gonna see where it goes and how my editor likes it, how my readers like it. So
Yeah.
hopefully everybody enjoys crazy chicken puns because that's what I'm here for.
Well, what is your wish for the reader when they pick up A Murder Most Foul? What do you hope they'll take away from it?
I just hope it's something that they enjoy.
Yeah.
Because for me, reading is escapism. I mean, there's already enough negativity in the world.
Yeah.
There's so much other stuff in the world that can bring you down. And when I pick up a book, I want to enjoy it and I want to feel something, whether that be I'm laughing, I'm crying in a good way, just something. And that's just really what I'm hoping for, is that at the end of the book, you don't feel like, wow, I just wasted however many hours it took you to read on that book. I hope you
Yeah.
enjoy it. And you don't have to love it, you don't have to like it. I just hope that in the end you enjoy the time that you spent with my characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I just had Courtney Walsh on the show, and she talked about, she's like, I'm trying to be the author that people turn to when they're in the heaviest season of their life. And she kind of talked similarly of like, there's just so much heavy in the world. Like this is our escape, and so I use reading for that. So myself.
Yeah, same here. And like you had mentioned too, like with cozy mysteries and how it's the sleuthing, it's not on the gory side. I'm a no pun intended, I am a chicken. I don't want to read something that's gonna. Now, I am that person. I'm like, okay, I do love a good true crime before bed. Those are relaxing, but
Yeah.
there is something different for me about reading like a horror book or something like that. Those scare me. I don't want to read those before bed. And I do most of my reading at bed, so I wanted to create something too that as I'm working on it in the evenings, it's not going to keep me up at night in a bad way. So that's also why I kind of went cozy mystery.
Yeah. Well, you've given us the perfect transition because you've already kind of mentioned what you enjoy reading, but what genres do you enjoy?
Mysteries is definitely up there. That's like my number one. Mystery is always my first pick. That's the first section I go to in any bookstore when I visit. The mystery, the cozy mystery, the thriller, that whole branch.
Yeah.
And then I love a good rom-com, especially rom-coms with animals, baking, anything like that. If you can make me laugh and you can make me hungry, you have a fan for life because that I'm like that's the quickest way to my soul is food, coffee, animals. Oh, you've got me.
Yeah, gosh, you make me think we had an episode with her name was Jordan Millsaps. I don't know if you know her, she's an author, but she bought Foodie Rom-Coms was her book flight. So I'll have to send that to you when we're done.
Yes, please,
Yeah.
please, yes.
How in your busyness do you find time for the reading and writing and all of that with your kids too?
Uh, yeah, I know. That's something that a lot of people ask me is like, you've got two kids. How are you managing all of this? And I'm like, yeah, that's still the question that I don't know. Um, I have to be flexible with my day. I would love to be that author who writes in the mornings because I'm up early in the mornings with my kids, and I think that would be just like such a great time when I'm fresh.
Yeah.
It does not work. It doesn't work for my kids. It doesn't work for our schedule. And my kids are in hybrid school too. So they're in the school season, they're home 3 days out of the week
Okay.
and might even be 4 days this coming school year. It's going to kind of depend on some stuff. So when they're home, it's a combination of online classes and I'm the teacher. And then when they
Yeah.
go in person, that's my big day to write. Like I drop them off. I don't even leave the area because I can get the most done if I just go
Yeah.
straight to that little coffee shop and I just stay there for hours on end. And my husband is just so incredibly supportive. He's been such just a pillar through all of this. Years ago, going back to children's literature, he's the one who first started sending my manuscripts off for query letters before I even realized what was happening,
Oh,
because he's just always believed in me. So when he comes home from work, that's where we're very good about splitting responsibilities and trying to keep everything as fair as possible. So with his job, he's in construction. He's able to get home in the early afternoon.
yeah.
So when he comes home, I get a good stretch up until dinner where he'll cook dinner and I just come out here into my little windowless office in the garage and just write as much as I can in that time. And that's what I do throughout the afternoons. And that's really what works well. And then as I have deadlines, I'll go later into the night. I'll do
Yeah.
weekends if I have to. But writing in the afternoon, especially after school's been finished, he comes home, he plays with the kids, takes them to go do stuff. I find that's when I get the most quality time of my writing.
Yeah, and I think that's something as moms we're really good at is finding the space in the day or creating it, right? And just being very diligent of like, this is my working time. Like I have one day in the week that I do podcasting and it's like, this is not for grocery shopping or going to the doctor or whatever. Like this is not for running errands. It is strictly podcast time. Like I drop my
Yeah.
kids off and do the same. And I go to the closest coffee shop to wherever they're being dropped off that day. I'm like, okay, all right,
Yep.
I'll sit right here.
Make the best use of your time. Because I mean,
Yeah.
and that's what we're always like trying like borrow as moms and like take whatever time we can get from here or there.
Mm.
And as my kids have gotten older, it's really helped. and they know, okay, when the garage door is closed, unless something is broken or bleeding, do not come out here. They know the rules. They've come, and I set timers too.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, if you do need something, wait until this timer if it's not an emergency, and then they can come out. And that's a good moment for me to also get up and stretch because there are occasions where I have to work while they're home, like it's summer break right now.
Yeah.
I'm having to take care of stuff in the morning when I wouldn't usually do it. Boy, is it chaotic. I think my animals are a bit more challenging for me than my kids are because I've got four. I've got three cats and a dog, and it's my one cat. Well, it's my son's cat, Confetti. Oh, he's always up in my space, and he's the kneader with the claws. I'm like,
Oh,
you're killing me over here. Oh my gosh, and he's a crier, so I'm like, you guys are more of the problem than the kids are at this point.
yeah. Can you just be quiet over there? Give me a minute. So, well, you have been so gracious to bring a book flight with you. Can you tell us how you chose these books?
So I did stick with my favorites, which is mysteries. And I've really been into my historical mysteries. So any recommendations for any of your listeners, you want to give me some of your favorite historical mysteries? I'm definitely wanting to devour those. So this is the very first book that got me interested in the series. It's called A Flaw in the Blood by Stephanie Barron, and I
Okay.
absolutely love this book. I've read it so many times. My pages are all yellowed. It came out in '08. This is one of those books that I believe had Instagram been big back in '08, this really would have taken off. It's set in the Victorian, it's like a Victorian Gothic mystery. There is some romance in there too.
Okay.
And it really goes into the monarch with the Queen's consort, Prince Albert, and he ends up dying. And there's a mystery, and she brings in a barrister, an Irish barrister named Patrick Fitzgerald, and his ward who have to figure out what's going on. And as soon as they start doing it, they start unleashing the underbelly of London. So I
Ooh.
love this one.
Okay. I so you say historical mystery and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this sounds amazing." Because my number one genre is historical fiction, but I
Okay.
also love being able to sleuth my way through the novel. So I'm like, this sounds like the perfect little mashup
Yeah, I love it.
for
I
me.
really do. And there is that romance a little bit in there. I wouldn't classify it as a cozy.
Okay.
It would be definitely more straight mystery to maybe even possibly bordering thriller just a little bit.
Okay.
I guess kind of depends on also how you look it up and who you ask. Next
Okay.
would be the very first Veronica Speedwell book, A Curious Beginning. This is a series that my husband actually picked out for me, and I
I
ended up
love
falling in love
her.
with it after the not even halfway through the first book. It's by Deanna Raybourn, and what I love about Veronica, she's our protagonist, is she doesn't let the social norms of the 1800s in England hold her back from doing what she loves, which she's a butterfly scientist, and she's also solving her own mystery that is tied back to her own murky past, but she doesn't know it.
Yeah, that
So
sounds
that's
awesome.
still an ongoing series too with
Okay.
Deanna Raybourn. So
So if
there's
you love
plenty
it,
of books.
there's
Yeah,
many more.
there's many more. Yeah. With the one by Stephanie Barron, this is just a one. She does
Okay.
have a lot of other books, and she also did a Jane Austen mysteries as well. But this one is just it. This is a standalone.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you.
And then this is a YA mystery, Stalking Jack the Ripper. I really enjoyed this one. There's four books in the series. Each one can be read as a standalone. But again, it's also another protagonist, Audrey Rose, who doesn't let the society norms of the 1800s in London hold her back. And she starts with her uncle learning medical science and working on cadavers back then as a girl in secret. But she has to uncover who Jack the Ripper is. So those are my three flights here today that I've really enjoyed, and these are all books that I've reread more than once.
Well, lovely. Well, thank you so much for bringing those. And I haven't read any of them, so I'll be adding all of them to my list. So thank you.
Yay! So tell me what you think.
Yeah, we'll do. How I love to end our show is with our bonus pairings, which are a speed round of questions that you can answer really quick. Are you a rereader?
Yes.
Love it. What is one book you've read that has changed your life?
That's not a quick answer. Oh goodness. Has changed my life. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go back with A Flaw in the Blood because that really is the one that got me really into mysteries, and that's where I'm at now as a writer.
Love it. Where is your favorite place to read?
My gray armchair in the living room next to the fireplace in the winter.
That sounds so cozy. Just add that
Any other place
coziness
would
in
just be quiet.
there. Yeah. Lastly, what are you reading next?
I am, I just finished reading Famous Last Word. And that was a thriller by Gillian McAllister that I really did love. It
Okay,
was very
yeah.
twisty.
Okay.
Sorry, I added another bonus one there. So I just finished that one, so I haven't started my next read yet. So, but I am thinking of Murders We Solve, that one by, oh goodness, he did the Thursday Murder Club. Oh, what's
Oh
his
yeah, the
name?
Osman, right?
Yes. So I have that one.
Okay.
I have, but like every reader who is a reader, my TBR is taller than me. So I don't know. I might just randomly pick one off the shelf or let my kids pick one for me because they do that sometimes.
Yeah. It would be, I actually just recently had episode 150. You might have seen the post where I stacked like the 150 books to
I did.
represent one for each episode. And I'm like, I couldn't even stack my TBR. It's like 700 or something. Like, but it would be hilarious just to see what it actually looks like in physical books. So if someone wants to do that, go stack 700 books, send me a picture.
Yes, tag bookish flights into it because I want to see that too.
I know. I'm like, it was so hard to stack 150. I'm like, please don't topple over as you're like putting the last ones on.
I
So,
did something like that once. It was a buddy read, and I stacked all the books we read in a year, and it was under 100, but even that it was really hard to
yeah.
stack them, and I tried holding it. That did not work out well.
I know. And then I realized I was like, oh, I'm going to stand in between it to give people perspective. But I like had made them too close. So I had to like awkwardly push myself back in there. And I'm like, well, I can't move them because they'll just all topple. So I guess I just have to do what I have to do. So I'm just going to awkwardly squeeze myself in this little hole.
Awkward is great. I love awkward. I'm awkward, so
Yes.
it's awesome.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me today. I know your time is precious and I appreciate all you've given me.
Thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today with Carmela Dutra, including her book flight of historical mysteries. We'd love to hear what other books you'd pair with this book flight at bookishflights.com. If you enjoyed the show, please head over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. Your review not only helps the show, but it also helps the podcast to reach others. Make sure you are subscribed on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to make sure you will not miss an episode. That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. As Emma Thompson said, I think books are like people in the sense that they'll turn up in your life when you most need them. Cheers to you, dear readers. Until next time.